Good evening. This is the meeting of the Groton Board of Education being held on Monday, February the 24th, 2025 at the central office. This meeting is being held in person and online. The first order of business, good catch there. You didn't hurt yourself, did you?
Don't throw his papers.
Yeah. All right, first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask Matt to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item is recognition of our Martin Luther King Scholar, and I will turn it over to Dr. Ackerman.
I tell you, it gives me great pleasure to. Oops, I'm sorry. I tell you, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Mahi Patel to the board. Mahi is a 2024 Martin Luther King Scholar. To become a scholar requires a great. You have to write an essay. We review all of your academics. We review your contributions to the community, and then there's an interview that's, I would say, challenging, more or less.
Challenging.
Yes. But I'll tell you that Mahi's interview was, I think, one of the most brilliant I've ever seen. So let me start with Mahi's connection to the community. First of all, she volunteers at the Groton Public Library and at Thames River Magnet and at Bacchus Hospital because she wants to be a doctor. So, and she's got her EMT, yes. So that's in I guess, a tribute to what we do at Fitch Senior High School as well. And I just found out tonight she's a full IB student. I did not know that. At least I didn't realize. I probably did know it. And she's in the I guess it's a club, an association that Dr. Grenier started, More Than Words, which brings together students from Ledger, New London, and Groton in a communal a way to bring respect to one another and to the community itself. At Fitch High School, there were so many academic achievements for Mahi that I'm not even going to bother with them because she does so much more. But there were so many of them that we'd be here for till 8 o'clock just doing that. So, however, she's on the varsity tennis team. She's on student council in the National Honor Society. She's a peer mediator. She's president of the Key Club, of the Keyettes, and of the Black Student Union. And get used to seeing Mahi because now she's a representative to the Board of Ed. And I'd like to also thank Mr. Brown and Ms. Hodge for accompanying Mahi tonight. So, Mahi told me tonight that she's accepted at Northeastern University, and of course she's going to become a doctor, and her area is going to be dermatology. But I'll tell you, I don't know why Mahi doesn't want to be a teacher. Because when we did, I have the scholars over every weekend to practice their speeches and to give feedback. And when I ask for feedback, Mahi's feedback is so brilliant. It's just so insightful and respectful of the student that she's speaking to. So that's everything that I know about Mahi. And the only thing that I would ask you to do is if you have any questions, to please address them to Mahi, and I'll go sit down and she'll answer them.
She could take the mic and tell us whatever you want to tell us.
I don't have much to say. Dr. Ackerman said most of it. But I'm really grateful that I had a chance to be here and I would like to thank all of you for inviting me and representing me. And I think achieving the Martin Luther King Scholarship has been one of my greatest achievements. So.
What was the hardest part of the whole process of getting the scholarship?
The interview. Yeah, or actually the process in for the dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, going every Saturday, working with Dr. Ackerman, the feedback change. Yeah, it was a little.
For how many Saturdays?
I feel like it was
from
5. I want to say.
5 Saturdays?
Yeah.
It's fine,
Yeah.
It's from when you receive this, when we know you received it, until the Saturday before.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's a lot more than 5. Yeah.
So I can tell you're respectful already. You didn't say too many Saturdays. I would have said too many. Very respectful.
Mahi,
Are you going to introduce your mother?
This is my beautiful mother. She's raised me beautifully, and everything I've learned so far in my life, and even wanting to become a doctor, has been because of her. So yeah, I just want to say thank you to her.
You're welcome. Yeah. Matthew?
Mahi, I hope you will find a way to stay in touch with Fitch, to stay in touch with this district, and to share your trajectory with the ones who are coming behind you, because you have been inspired by your mom and others, and now it's your turn to inspire others. We look forward to sharing in your joy.
Yeah, I look forward to it too.
We'll be very interested after your freshman year to see how prepared you are.
That's true.
Most kids
IB is,
come back
yeah.
and say they really felt like their preparation.
IB is going to prepare me, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Morth has made that very clear that all the students are well prepared for their freshman year at college.
That's what he tells us,
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Yeah. Any other questions?
Just want to say congratulations, and very proud to share a neighborhood with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely look forward to hearing updates as your academic and professional career advances.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dean?
Congratulations from me as well. Dr. Ackerman was disappointed that you might not choose a teaching profession. I don't see why that's a medical degree is exclusive. Why you could become a med school professor.
That's actually been in my mind, actually.
Down and I'm trying to look at this and say, what was that? I wanted to say it was that when you get to medical school and you're done, and I hope that I sincerely hope that you consider teaching.
I'm actually am considering it. Once I am a doctor, do a couple years in it, I want to be a professor. Yeah.
When she's ready to retire from the medical
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Medical school.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I meant.
You do what your heart desires.
Yep. That's what I've always been doing.
That's it.
That's what
Yep.
you have to do.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Well, thank you again for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
We wish you the best. The next item on the agenda is comments from citizens regarding the agenda items and other subjects of concern that lie within the jurisdiction of the Board of Education. This is the portion of the agenda where the board welcomes comments from citizens sometimes. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and citizens should, if possible, submit written comments. Presentation should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Board members will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and cannot respond during comments of citizens portion of the board meeting. Citizens should make their presentations from the podium and state their names and addresses for the record. Would anybody like to address the board tonight?
Portia Bordelon, 24 Jefferson Drive, Groton. For full disclosure, I'm a town councilor, also the spouse of Ian on the board, Fitch High School graduate, mother of 2 that graduated from Fitch, and worked in the Groton schools at one point as a para for a few years back in the day. Congratulations to my neighbor. So, and I was at the dinner, and it was just marvelous to hear your speech and presentation. And as a woman of color myself, I just, commend you for your efforts and pursuing all your desires and dreams. And I wish I was on the panel here to ask questions, because my questions would have been about what barriers are at Fitch that you think for minority students, especially dual language students, that could help them. So I encourage you to bring those types of things back, because I feel like a lot of our services are underserved, in my opinion. But with that night, it was stated by a member of a recipient that they did not have enough English as a second language when they came to this country and had to work doubly hard. So I come tonight speaking in support of education. It's not the percent that we raise the budget or what we approve. I would give you a 10% raise. Like, as long as the money within those object codes are going to fully support our students, that's my goal. So it's not the number of the raise, it's where the number and the money is being allocated within those object codes. And obviously I have concerns. Again, we should be closing achievement gaps. We cannot be funding all of the higher level classes and not making sure that the students that the most need have the supports that they need. With that, English as a second language. We have students that come here on grade level in their country, and at home they speak their native language, and it's not their fault. They're learning English, and we have an obligation. I know that you did increase them at one point, but it's still not enough. Those students, I spoke to a parent who says, my daughter on her country is in the higher level, everything comes here, and because of the support, she's falling behind because the English as a second language person is not available to help them in all of their classes. One person in one school, at the high school especially, and elementary. So I just encourage you guys to really look at this. Also at the high school, making sure students have all the supports they need, enrichment, but also on the elementary level, closing those achievement gaps, looking at those math scores. As Matt is here as the principal, he was my son's tutor at one point because we couldn't find tutors in math. That's unacceptable. I'm thankful for what he did. But to say you don't have the higher level math tutors available, or the math tutors you have, and it's no disrespect to them, they could not do the upper level math. They were only up to here at a certain level. Then what we need, if you're providing a service, you have to be able to support the service. And then saying, all we have is Falcon Academy. Well, not every student wants to go to Falcon Academy. Think back when you were in high school. Do you want to admit that you're behind or struggling to your peers? It's kind of embarrassing, or can be, right? You could have a top-level student who's struggling and has to go ask a peer. Finding that right peer that's going to match is a hard concept. We should be able to provide adult tutors that can do that. And looking at our math scores that you guys presented, we are lagging behind and something's running deficient. So I do support this board's mission of looking at elementary education. If we're not learning to read and write and do the math at the beginning foundations, once they get to the high school level, they're just patching it all together, trying to get them through what they can. Elementary and middle school, you have to close achievement gaps. So in looking at this, you need the supports and the teachers to do such. I was concerned when I saw the superintendent's proposal and areas that she was looking to cut. Again, not cutting anywhere that's not directly impacting students, but looking to make sure that you're keeping the supports in place. When looking at that also, I am concerned that we voted on, you guys agreed to fund a finance software, something I was passionate about 7 years ago when I first got elected, and finally started to see it come to fruition. When are you guys going to make that an agenda item and vote it in? Haven't seen it. It needs to happen. I know before it was waiting, for a finance director. At this point, you don't have one, so we can't wait to buy the a la carte one that you want for them. Pick something. I encourage to go with the same one the town has, and get it going, and use that for whoever's coming in. Our software is so far behind. So it is a major concern. So where is that money in this year's budget? Where is that being expended? I couldn't see that. What are the timelines of the inquiries and the decisions on whether or not to conduct a full investigation and the allegations on all of this stuff with our financial director? I mean, that's been in the newspaper. That's a concern as well.
One more minute.
Thank you. And The HR director. We don't have a financial director. The HR director hasn't been here, and you guys are in the midst of your budget. That's a bit of a concern to me as well. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But I definitely think that $115,000 needs to be kind of brought to the forefront. So again, all in support of education, we need to make sure that we're moving the number. It's not just voting on a number and saying, oh, we gave the Board of Ed a 6% raise. It's where you guys choose to move that money to best support our students is what you guys are tasked with. And that is the obligation. Education, education, education. And I do not want to see high school services cut as a means of that. Again, the minority students in the upper level classes are still very low. It was like that when I was at Fitch, and you guys, it shouldn't be a discrepancy. We need to be closing achievement gaps, and everyone should have fair and equal access to education, and that should be making sure everyone has the tutors and the supports provided to them. And also, we need a full-time career counselor. If we hire another part-time one, that would be great, but we cannot help students get to college on one part-time career counselor.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? No. I have a letter that I found in front of me that the person has asked me to read into the record. It's from Sandra San Lucas. She lives at 19 Quincy Court here in Groton, and it reads as follows. I am writing to you regarding the meeting that took place on February 10th, 2025, where parents were given an opportunity to express the challenges we have encountered with special education and pupil personnel services. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend due to personal reasons, but I feel it is important to share my experiences and concerns with you. When my son Nicholas Sands Zumba began high school, he was physically restrained on more than one occasion by multiple staff members. These incidents caused him significant distress, anxiety, and fear, which in turn posed a risk of triggering a seizure. This all occurred prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, and as a result, I had no choice but to withdraw him from school for a period of time. The Groton School District was not equipped to handle these situations, and he was homeschooled for several months as a result. As a nonverbal child, my son struggles to adjust to new individuals, which makes it very difficult for him to work with unfamiliar professionals. He has only been able to build trust and form a connection with one individual throughout his educational experience. This is a challenge that I know many other parents with special needs children also face. Currently, my son is enrolled in a transition academy where he continues to work with the same paraprofessional he has had since middle school. As parents, we understand that children with special needs often require consistent support, and that paraprofessionals play a vital role in providing this support. It is essential that they are compensated adequately for their dedication and hard work. I trust that as a committee, you have the power and influence to make a difference, and I ask you to advocate for increased funding to ensure that our children's needs are met. It is imperative that the budget you propose includes provisions to retain these dedicated professionals who are essential to the success and well-being of children like my son. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. I look forward to your response and appreciate your ongoing commitment to improving services for our children. And that's from Sandra San Lucas. I'll give this to you so you can give it to Joan so she can put it in the record.
And we will follow up with the mom.
Okay. Here you go. Okay. Here's the envelope. Thank you. Okay. Next, any response from citizens? Any response to comments?
I'll just say I'll thank all the citizens for the input, and I look forward to working with the board to address a number of those issues.
Anyone else? Okay. Student representative report? Up again.
She has a two-part here.
So I wasn't told by a previous representative. She told me that I only had to say a couple things.
Oh, she lied.
So
Tell us what you know.
Yeah.
the theater club is showing Grease next month. The college and career fair is on March 4th after school. And then the Thames River Magnet Children's Fair is on March 23rd, I believe. And the yearly Kietz blood drive is also set to take place mid-March.
And where is that going to be?
It's during school for seniors.
Oh, okay.
Anyone 17 or older. Yeah.
Thank you.
Matt?
Question. I love hearing about the events that are going on in school. But we live in stressful times, at least we adults do, and sometimes that washes over the older students, or maybe even over all the students. So I would hope, I'm speaking only for myself, not for the board, I would love to hear from time to time if there are feelings or emotions that are in the school that you think we would benefit from hearing about. If it's something that can be dealt with in open session, I invite that. If it's something of a more sensitive nature, I'd like you to go to Mr. Brown or to Susan. But please, your role is more than words and more than telling us just the wonderful events that are going on. Thank you.
Can I also add, More Than Words is going to be doing workshops at our middle school. I'm very excited about that. Groton Middle, did you want to say anything? We had done this in Ledyard last year.
Yeah,
But that's really, I'm looking forward to that.
I did it last year too, but I won't be able to make it to the one on the 28th because I have school projects. Yeah, I can't
But
make
we will
it.
be there,
Yeah.
and our More Than Words students will actually run some of these workshops at Groton Middle with all of our 7th graders, and it really is, the whole opportunity for More Than Words is to lift student voice and to teach our middle schoolers how to lift their voice and tell us their concerns and things
Yeah.
that they're dealing with.
Yeah, so like,
If a board member were free, would one be able to observe?
Yeah, just let me know. Most of the adults, we kind of hang out in the hallway and
Yeah.
peek in because we don't want to interrupt them, but it's certainly exciting to see.
yeah. Sorry, I just want to talk a little bit about the field trip.
Okay.
So I've been going to the weekly meetings for More Than Words after school, and they've been discussing about what they actually want to focus and target. And they've been trying to target how middle schoolers are very quiet and like don't open up about the issues that they've been facing to teachers and admin, and we feel like they would be open to discussing issues with high schoolers because we're like they're bigger siblings in some way.
Right. That's really
So
nice.
that's what we're going to be targeting.
Awesome.
yeah.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jen, you have a...
Yeah, it was just, do you happen to know the date for the play or the musical? If not, you could just email.
I'll make sure, I'm
Yeah.
trying to get that in board notes, but I'd like Joyce to like almost put together a calendar. We're getting to that time of year. There's so many things happening. Get you kind of a calendar so you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot. Yeah.
A lot of ECC wins too, by the way, in sports, I saw.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I know that Mr. Brown's here and Ms. Hodge is here, but I'd like to know, how has your experience been at Fitch so far, the positive and the negative?
Positives are I've made a lot of connections. I did not come into high school thinking that I was going to make connections. Everyone was like, make sure you make at least one connection going into school. And I feel like in my personal view, admin and teachers make it a lot more easier to connect with them, at least my teachers. And they make life a lot easier, especially for coming from an IB student. All my teachers make it a lot easier. Some of the harder things that I want to talk about, one thing is junior and senior year, when I did do the diploma program, there's nothing you can really do about it, but it's the group that you're put with for 2 years. It can be a little struggle to stay with those same students if you don't get along with them. So that's been a little bit of a struggle, not just for me, but I feel like any IB diploma student can talk about that a little bit.
So if we try to expand the program so that we widen our circle of
Yeah.
friends,
Yeah.
I think that will help with
There's
that.
not
That's
that
one
many
of the goals.
Yeah.
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 But in the meantime, maybe we could think about, like she's saying, not having the same group
Yeah.
2 years together.
Yeah.
Shake it up a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shake it.
Maybe open the classes to students that aren't in full diploma.
Yeah.
Like the Theory of Knowledge class, that's a mandatory class for IB diploma students. But it's also open to other students, but other students don't really know about it. There were only 2 kids that were in that class that weren't from IB diploma, like the course, but they really loved it because we just talk about any sort of topic and how you would go about thinking about it, how there's different viewpoints towards it. It's a course where you can just be open-minded about any topic, talk about it in any way, and it's just such an interesting class, and I feel like if other students who weren't in IB diploma took it, it would be a lot more helpful for us, so we can make friends other than the people that we're stuck with. And then,
Sort of like I'm stuck with these people.
a little bit, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but you had it for 4
Yeah.
years.
Great recommendation.
I hope Ms. Hodge and Mr. Brown.
They're getting ready to schedule. We're getting ready to schedule anyway.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I'm going to ask if the board doesn't mind, if we can go right to action items and get these action items out, because we're only supposed to have a board meeting till 7. So I'd like to do these action items first and then come back to, we have time to come back to the other stuff. Yeah. Thank you. So I'm going to go to action items number 8, and do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
A second?
Second, Thomas.
Okay.
Photo at the event, and I don't know if she has it.
Okay. Any,
Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Congratulations. Take care. Good to see you.
any questions or comments about the consent agenda? It's approving minutes for the special meetings, January 27th, February the 3rd, February 5th, February the 10th, 2 meetings on February the 10th, February the 11th, and February 12th. No comments, questions? Okay, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the next item is old business. It's a discussion and possible action regarding a second reading of policy P5131.81, electronic devices. And the motion reads to approve policy P5131.81, electronic devices as a second reading. Do I have a second? Matthew? Okay. Matthew, you want to talk about it?
Well, it's been a long road. We've shared a lot of documents, the history for almost a year, I believe, that we've been working on this. The policy is brief and clear. The regulations are also clear. To summarize them and correct me if after all this time I've got it wrong, I'd still take it as a favor if you correct me. Our policy, in short, is no use of cell phones whatsoever in the elementary school level, and there's an asterisk to that I'll come back to. In the middle school, no use of cell phones from first bell to last bell with an asterisk. And in the high school, no use of cell phones in instructional periods with the ability to use them in between classes and during lunch hour with an asterisk. The asterisk is some students, because of their IEP, may need to have a cell phone for medical or other reasons. There may be emergent situations that develop from time to time, and there's provision for a student or his or her family to speak to administration, primarily through the principals, to get a temporary waiver to get the student through that situation. But by and large, students are in school to learn from one another, and we hope that this will strengthen that.
Any other discussion? Ian?
No, I'm all set. I feel like we, the policy committee vetted this one pretty thoroughly, made a number of changes, so I look forward to, positive vote or any constructive criticism.
Anyone else? Okay, so all those in favor of approving policy P5131.81, electronic devices as a second reading, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Yea is an aye. Abstentions? All right, approved. The next is discussion and possible action regarding a second reading of policy P3120, budget document. That's attachment number 13. And the motion reads to approve policy P3120, budget document as a second reading. Do I have a second?
Second, Thomas.
All right, Matthew?
Now, I would like my colleague, Mr. Thomas, to speak to this.
Okay. Ian?
So this one has to do with the budget document, how it's constructed, both by the superintendent and then also deliberated on by the board. So there was a lot of discussion about the what is now the middle paragraph, but I believe we got to a good working compromise. The first and the third paragraphs are just basically more or less slight variations of the boilerplate that comes out of CABE. But the middle paragraph has to do with communications with town officials by administration or board members that have to do with like substantive budget changes, including but not limited to moving items in or out of the budget. So basically this policy encourages the reporting of such things, and then in conversation, one of the sticking points was like how this was going to be regulated. And so in the policy meeting, the superintendent agreed to allow me to participate in the forming of the regulations so that we can get some specificity in there where it's appropriate as to like how these communications will be documented and are expected to be communicated to the full board in a timely manner.
We've already kind of started that practice in a way with the tracker sheet and trying to keep track of everything, too. I think we've already kind of started a process that might work out in the future, even.
Agreed. So I look forward to working with the superintendent in the future on fleshing out those regulations.
Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor of approving as a second reading policy P3120, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Approved. Next, we'll go on to new business, and it's discussion and possible action regarding compliance with Executive Order 14190, ending radical indoctrination in K through 12 schooling. The motion reads to comply with the provisions of Executive Order 14190, ending radical indoctrination in K through 12 schooling, Federal Register citation 90 FR 8853, Federal Register document hashtag 2025-02232 until such time as it is amended or superseded in any other federal, state, local regulations that any policies or practices in violation are hereby null and void. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second, Dean? All right, discussion.
Can I just say that I really say, as the superintendent of schools, that there is no curriculum or belief system in our district that we are to indoctrinate any of our students in any particular way. So to me, this is kind of a moot point because we don't do this anyway. So we wouldn't intend to indoctrinate kids. So I think, if they are thinking that schools do this, this is not a district that does that. And I don't know many that do, or the ones that I've been in, I can't say have done that either.
Matthew?
Could I add to Susan's comment? During the election season, when I visited with community organizations, some of the national discussions about supposed or real indoctrination, what was the status in Groton? And my answer was, to the very best of my knowledge, there is no indoctrination. No indoctrination from the left, no indoctrination from the right, no indoctrination from the top, no indoctrination from the bottom. And if you know of or believe, if you have firsthand information of something you think falls into that category, go through the channels, through your teacher, through your principal, through the superintendent, and then to the board, and it will be dealt with responsibly and fairly.
Thank you, Matthew. Dean?
Yeah, I'd just like to echo Mr. Schulman's sentiments there as far as like there being channels of redress if any community member feels that there is something of concern in the curriculum. I don't agree with the language of this executive order. I think it takes great liberties with interpretive language. But, such as it is, executive orders do carry some weight of law so that we have to go through this process. What's the saying? I'm kind of struggling for it now. Legal does not equate ethical, or something like that.
And we just heard from a student that said that her voice matters in so many ways, and taking the Theory of Knowledge course where kids are really expected to read a lot of research and look at different viewpoints and not to only think of one particular way of thinking, and that their voices matter, their thoughts matter, and their contributions all matter. So that's what we're trying to cultivate here in Groton Public Schools.
Right. And,
Are you done, Ian?
well, I just wanted to follow on that, saying that critical, anything that has like critical thought exercises in it is critical across the board. Critical thinking is one of the main tools in analytical writing and reading. You have to apply certain lenses and be able to apply those, again, across the board. I think of one of my literary theory classes where, we discussed like how you use different lenses to analyze texts. And, that it should not be attached to any sort of personal, it's not necessarily a recommendation or a requirement to think a certain way. It's more about giving, students the ability to use different tools to think for themselves. So it's like sort of like, an analogy would be like opening up a toolbox and introducing them to a screwdriver, wrench, hammer. These are what these things do. And this is how you can dismantle a text and see how it's put together. And, I think there's occasional times like, there's some nervousness about words like critical thinking that, get misconstrued at times. Thank you.
Thank you. Dean?
I find it interesting that while we have a book that's about this thick, filled with policies, most of which are designed to deal with situations that aren't going to happen, but just in case, we have a policy for it. We don't wait until something happens and then have a policy. Well, sometimes that does happen, like with the electronic devices policy. That's meant to address an actual situation. We have a lot of policies that are in place just in case. Why? Because council told us, because CABE told us, etc. But with this one, there's discomfort and there's discussion. I just find that interesting. I know why, but I just wanted to highlight that. We have plenty of policies that are there just in case. So I see this as it's there just in case, because it does happen. Maybe it doesn't happen in Groton, but it could in the future with different leadership, and it does happen in other school districts. So, and there are tens of thousands of them across the country. And if Groton is clean as a whistle, that's not necessarily representative of all the school districts. So,
Okay, thank you, Dean. Dean?
I just want to express my appreciation for Dean's perspective on that, and I think it is worth considering that from that perspective. Is that radical indoctrination could mean any number of things, and it could be coming from any given direction, and having a just in case policy,
It's important.
yeah, not so bad. But the question is like, how do you classify that? And I think some of the hesitation, at least for myself on this one, was the timing and the source from which it came.
of course.
Yeah.
Anything else?
And also I should say also the language. If you read the full text of the Dear Colleague letter, there's. I was reminded of Dr. Ackerman's concern with the excessive use of adjectives and adverbs.
Good teacher still.
Yes. Well, I think there was also precedent.
Okay. All those, I'll take a vote. All those in favor, it's not a policy, but just ending, saying that we're going to comply with the executive order. All those in favor of this motion, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Okay, Jay. Oppose? Abstentions? So
I abstain.
Is that you, Mike?
Yep, I abstain.
Okay.
Actually, I'll abstain as well. Actually, and I'll explain real quick. It just hit me right now. I'm looking at the wording again. It says ending. And I guess maybe ending, as if it's already happening. It's assuming an active role. Yeah, sorry, I just didn't pick up on that until right now. So. But yeah, I'll abstain.
Okay. So all those in favor, say aye. Did I do that already?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did that.
We had
Motion
three.
passed. Okay. Dean voted yes. Adrian voted yes. Andrea voted yes. Matthew, you were a yes.
Yes.
Jen, you were a yes.
Correct.
Jay was a yes, and I was a yes.
And Matt and Ian abstained. I got that.
Matt?
No, no.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Mike.
Mike.
Starts with an M, starts with an M.
Starts with an M. It's different.
Okay, next item. New business. Discussion and possible action regarding rescinding policy P4118.112/P5145.5, prohibition of sex discrimination, approved on January 7, 2025, and reinstate policies P4118.112 and P5145.5, sexual harassment, revised on January 25th, 2021. Matthew, you want to read the motion?
I move to rescind policy P4118.112 and policy P5145.5, prohibition of sex discrimination, approved on January 7th, 2025, and operationally reinstate policies P118.112 and P5145.5, sexual harassment, as they appeared in their January 25th, 2021 iteration.
Do I have a second? Second, Dr. A. All right, discussion. Let me turn it over to Denise. Denise is here. Or you want to talk about Matthew and then turn it over to Denise?
I'll talk about it, though you can see from my demeanor that I have some nervousness in talking about it. The history of this policy is that in 2021, we passed a policy on sexual harassment and another one policy on prohibition of sex discrimination. One is directed at cases that involve students, and the other is involved in cases that involve faculty or staff. That in 2024, I believe it was August, The Biden administration issued final findings on a proposal, I guess it was a 2024 proposal. It went about, I guess, close to a year in review, and they approved it in August and gave us a lawful order to pass it. Some people agreed, I did. Some people didn't agree. But it was a lawful order, and we passed it. With the new administration, they issued a policy saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Denise, that some aspects of that were unconstitutional in the naming of certain classes that would have coverage. Well, some people agree with the administration, some people disagree with the administration, but it is a lawful order. And whether one agrees or disagrees, we're trying to teach our students not only how to read and write and understand science, but also how to be citizens. And part of that, whether or not you like a particular thing, is to act in a lawful manner. And for that reason, though I, as you could probably figure out, I'm not terribly supportive of it, I respect that it's a lawful matter, and I will vote in favor of it.
Denise, you want to say?
Sure. So in August 2024, the previous administration changed the guidelines that oversee sexual harassment in schools, and they changed the definition to include, among other things, sexual identity. And that ended up being struck down by a federal judge, saying it was unconstitutional. And we've since received guidance from the Office of Civil Rights, which oversees the implementation of Title IX in schools. And we have been ordered, really, to, because the August 2024 regulations and policy is deemed to be unconstitutional, we've been directed to revert back to the 2020 regulations and policy, which our district adopted in 2021. So we are proposing that we revert back to the 2021 Title IX sexual harassment policy, regulations, and the associated forms, so that we are in compliance with federal law, and we have procedures to follow in the case of formal complaints of sexual harassment.
Any discussion or question, Dean?
Just for, and I know we have better business to get to, heavier business later, so I'll keep this brief. One thing to bear in mind is we talk about one administration, the other administration, the both of them, three of them, all of them have to work within the language, the statutes that we call Title IX. This is legislation passed by Congress. And like with other legislation, the executive branch has some latitude for creating rules, procedures, interpretations, etc. It is possible for an administration, any administration, to overstep the bounds. And any administration is regularly called to task by a federal judge that disagrees with the expansion on the language. And apparently what's happened, not a student of it, what's happened is that the prior administration said, our interpretation of Title IX works. It's covered by Title IX. The new administration disagreed, said it's outside of Title IX. A judge apparently has agreed with the new administration that, in fact, the prior administration's interpretation exceeded what Congress intended when it originally drafted Title IX. That's how that works. There's scope, but the scope is limited. You still have to live with the congressional language as well as be interpreted. So these aren't just whims.
Dean?
Just a,
Yes, I am.
just a slight correction, I guess, for the timeline. To my understanding, the federal judge that issued that decision was based on a lawsuit that came into play shortly after the August 21st issuance of the executive order under the previous administration. So, and that decision, the federal district court judge came to that decision on January 9th. Is that correct? Yeah. So, and then we received some guidance and communication around the 10th or so, between the 10th and the 23rd. there was some communication with the attorneys and our administration regarding, like, actions that we may need to take based on that decision. And in the time since that decision, there's been no appeal filed that we know of, that the administration or that any of the board members have been able to, or at least like us on the policy committee have been able to discover. So, yeah, then after the inauguration and the new administration took hold, that's when the executive orders were issued. But the federal district court judge actually made the decision before the new administration took office. Just, it's
Yeah, I
a
didn't.
little quibble or quabble, but,
If I imply that the federal decision, that the federal judge okayed a subsequent executive order, that was not my intent.
Okay.
I think that they may be in sync, they may be in agreement, but
Right.
more
Right.
or less. But yeah, your timeline is correct. But what I said still stands as a general rule.
Yeah. So along that lines, when it comes down to protections for students, well, I concur with Matt's assessment of the situation in the sense that one, it is a matter of legal impact, and so that we do have responsibilities to respond to that, whether we may agree with it or not. Legal is not necessarily ethical, as we can a review of our country's laws over time, past 250 years, would show we don't always get it right. So,
Fight your congressman,
yeah, exactly. There's a process for that.
all 5 of them. Yeah.
So, so to that end, as far as like how this impacts the school community, again, if the policy committee meeting that we had shortly before this meeting, we did discuss it in a good bit of detail that, as far as protecting the student population and ensuring that we have a healthy, respectful school community for both the staff and the students, the change, the rescinding of this, and shifting back to the older one will, in my opinion, doesn't have that great an impact on the prevention of bullying and harassment. It's a matter of how it's classified. So this rescinding and restoration basically just takes gender identity out of the sexual harassment arena as grounds for filing a complaint. But as far as like bullying and other policies that we have to protect the student community, those are still in place and don't depend on gender identity.
That's correct.
They depend on other matters of encouraging a healthy, respectful environment.
That's correct.
So,
It still would be prohibited behavior.
right. So I think it's important for our community to understand that bullying and harassment of any sort is not tolerated in this community.
And towards anyone.
Right.
Right. Towards anyone for any reason.
That's right.
So I just wanted to say that, and we will do what we have to do to maintain our, good standing with the law of the land as it currently exists. I imagine we should. I don't know. I'll reserve my judgment till I actually vote. But,
Denise, do you want to say anything else?
No, that was perfect. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Oh, Jay.
Jay.
Well, I can't say it any better than Ian, and I want to thank him for reassuring everybody that while this is a policy change on paper, that we're still committed to our students.
That's right.
And this will not affect the way their rights are protected. And thank you, Ian, for the way that you presented that.
Okay. You all set for a vote? Okay. All those in favor of approving, rescinding, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Abstain?
I'll abstain.
Ian and Mike? Okay.
Did you get the opposition?
No, I didn't do that yet.
Okay.
Oppose? Okay, motion carries. All right, I think we had 7 in favor, 2 abstentions, and nobody opposed. Okay, the next item is discussion and possible action regarding transferring the nurses' expenditures to DOD supplemental impact aid.
And,
I didn't read the motion.
Okay.
Okay.
okay, I'm just saying, that's what I was told.
Motion.
Hey, that motion needs to be amended.
I didn't read the motion.
She's got the motion.
Oh, okay.
I didn't read the motion yet. All right, the motion to approve the transfer, you're going to have to change this on your paper as I'm making some changes. To approve the transfer of the nurses' expenditures to DOD supplemental impact aid and non-lapsing account. Okay. To approve the transfer of the nurses' expenditures to DOD supplemental impact aid and non-lapsing account.
Second, Thomas.
Okay. All right, this, Susan? You want to talk about it?
Well,
Right?
I think this was the original plan from the board's perspective, and we decided to go ahead and we've had to pay for the nurses, of course, and that's come out of operations. So fortunately, we are going to be making that transfer. And Ray, you might want to talk about that transfer too when it comes up, but so that those funds go into DOD first, and then we will pay until, that runs out, and then we'll go into the non-lapsing funds, should we need them.
And you'll see on the transfer itself, we consumed the $494,883 of DOD funding. And then we're moving 407,911, I believe it is, into non-lapsing as well. These are the entire, we're doing one transfer per person, and you'll notice I'm relieving each line from each school, the total expected dollar amount. If at the end of the year we have some left, we will pull it back. If we have an excess that might be transferred, we will transfer back from the non-lapsing to make a few more dollars available. It looks to be about $20,000 left in your non-lapsing account by the time we're done. But I'll validate that once all the transactions are finished.
Ray, do we know what the nurses' expenditures is going to be?
Yes, ma'am. We have all of their salaries right now, as well as their encumbrances. That's what's on these sheets.
Can you give us a dollar amount to put on this motion?
Oh God, there must be 30 lines here. You want each line?
Oh, no, I don't want to.
That's not how it's normally done, but we'll be here for another hour. They're all summed up and broken out, going to the proper line. You'll see the summary of what's going to DOD and what's going to non-lapsing on the second page of the transfers.
Ian had a question?
No, I just wanted to, note that we did discuss this as a board, I believe, in our July meeting and voted on it as a plan in our July meeting in response to,
To pay for them.
how to cover the nurses. So,
Any other questions or discussion? No?
I have a quick one. Actually, I would like to have that total dollar amount in the motion.
The total dollar amount is $902,795.30, of which $494,883.40 will be transferred to the DOD impact aid account, and the balance of $407,911 will be assigned to non-lapsing.
All right, can you say that again, but slower, so I can write it down?
So the total is 909?
Total dollar amount being transferred is $909,000. Oh, God. Now my tongue's getting in the way. $902,795.30. The amount transferring to the DOD impact aid is $494,883.47.
800 and what?
83.47. The balance is 407,911, and I don't have the cents, I rounded up, going to non-lapsing. This is all on the second page of the transfer request that was part of the packet.
Okay.
Okay?
I don't see the split, I see the total. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
DOD, here's the DOD right here.
Excuse me.
And then other
Let me take a look at the end.
It's not showing up in this one.
Okay, so I'm going to make an amendment to this motion so we get some dollar numbers on here. To approve the transfer of the nurses' expenditures to DOD supplemental impact aid totaling $494,883.47 and non-lapsing account for a total of $407,911 for a total amount of $902,795.30.
Right on.
That should do it.
Okay.
So just a point of order.
Go ahead.
I think Ian seconded that original motion and probably just have you two agree that you retracted the original one and then you've got this new one and he can second that one too.
Do I have a second for the amended motion?
Seconded, yes.
Okay.
Well, what I'm saying is, so now we'll vote on the amended motion, on the amendment, and then we'll have to vote on the motion.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Or you could retract it and just do one vote.
No, we're here now.
Yeah, we're here now. Yeah, we'll vote on the amended motion.
The amendment.
The amendment. Okay, all those in favor of the amendment?
Oh, well, no, finish. Finish the amendment, then I'll.
Okay. All those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Go ahead, Adrian.
So is this the total cost of the nurses? And if it is, does that include the benefits and health
Yes, it does.
figures?
They're all listed out.
Right.
It
So I've
says
got-
benefits
Okay.
there.
It does
Oh, all
say
right.
benefits too.
All right, yeah.
I do know that the benefits weren't the full year because VNA still promised them to take care of like at least half the year, so it was a reduced number.
Any other questions?
I just want to say, I also think that for last year, the nurses were still covered through last summer
Yes,
for
that's right.
salaries too. And so
Yep.
this dollar amount's not an annual amount, but it's what we need to cover this year. The
That's
rest
right,
of it.
Mike.
All right.
Yep, you're right.
Thanks for saying that, Michael.
And I do want to add, if there's anything that is overstated, let's say one of the encumbrances may have been off, we will relieve the non-lapsing account of that overage. Okay, so there's a chance, an outside chance, that you may end up with a little more money put back into your non-lapsing account.
Okay.
We have it.
That's why we got it there. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments? Okay. Now we vote on the motion
As amended.
as amended. All those in favor of voting on the motion as amended, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, okay. Approved.
All in favor.
All in favor. Thank you all. Okay. Now we'll go back to the beginning, and we'll have the superintendent's report. Can we skip
It's short
it?
and sweet.
Short and sweet?
It was all in board notes. The big shout out was that we made national news at Charles Barnum with the project that we have with the partners at EB and also Goodwin College. And it was an awesome article about our students and also our Grosso students, which are some of our students too. So just a shout out for career pathways, because it really is important that that is absolutely a pathway for kids, all kids. So.
Anne Marie, you have anything you want to say? Okay. All right, next is Ray, your report, Ray. You
Really
go
wanna
with
go
the
through all
attachments? Excuse me?
You really want to go through my entire report? May I make a suggestion, Beth?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because we're pressing for time tonight for the budget process, if anybody has any questions, email me and I'll get back to them this week with a response.
All right, that sounds
You had a lot in there, not only the narrative, but you also had information that we were waiting for on health
Yes.
insurance and that kind of thing too, so it was pretty
Utilities,
comprehensive.
there's all kinds of data in there. So I'm going to ask, if you have specific questions, email me and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can.
Okay, so if you have any questions for Ray about all his attachments, attachment 1, 2, 3, 4, just email Susan and she can give them to Ray. Okay. Sam, you have any updates you want to give us?
Yes. I want to report that Dr. Kennedy and I attended the Planning Commission meeting last week to go over the CIP items that were moved forward by the town manager. And those items were the plans and specs for the manufacturing center at Fitch High School that we're working with EB on, and that was in the amount of $100,000 that we spoke to them about. The second item that I spoke about was the Fitch High School water heater. As you may remember, we have one water heater that is in operation, the other one is bad, so we need to replace the second water heater at a cost of $85,000. And so that was my second item. Dr. Kennedy spoke about three items. The $330,000 district finance software item he spoke about. The Fitch High School PA system for $63,000. And school video cameras in the amount of $100,000. We both felt that they received it in a positive way. I have been looking to see if I can find if there was an actual vote after that.
What was the third one? I'm sorry.
The third one was school video cameras for $100,000.
that's right.
And the second one was what?
Fitch High School PA system.
It's as old as I am. It was put in 76 when I graduated. So it's done its fair share.
Anything else, Sam?
No, that would be it for tonight. Thank you.
How are we doing with the charging stations? Or did you cover them up like at Thames River Magnet School? I mean, that was one of the concerns when we went to the school that one or two parents talked about the charging stations and how to keep them, if you could keep them closed during school time.
I haven't covered them yet, but we have no trespassing signs that we're going to be installing on all the campuses, and we'll get a special sign at the charging stations that indicate no charging during school hours. So,
Okay. When do you think you're going to have those signs up?
within the next 2 weeks, we should have them done.
Okay.
Has some nice weather coming for it.
I think, Clint, you have,
nice.
I'm sorry. You have something coming up with the police department to try the new software that we have, too?
Wednesday, 9 to 11, all schools.
All schools are going to do a practice run with our
Mutual link system.
mutual link system.
With both the town and the city PD.
Jen?
Sam, I'm just following up on the boys' bathroom across from the cafeteria. If we ended up getting doors for the stalls.
I believe those were ordered the other day.
Okay, perfect. As long as some
We looked around the
action.
district, see if we had anything that would fit. We didn't have anything that would fit, so Billy was ordering those the other day.
Okay, as long as we're making forward progress. Thank you.
And Ian, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So just this is a question for Dr. Kennedy, I guess. So as far as the CIP for the budget software, like that financial software for $330,000.
Yes, sir.
Is that a CIP? That funding would come all from the town?
That was it's a joint proposal I'm working with my counterpart, Liz Spellman, on the town side.
Okay.
And we've engaged with the same Tyler Technologies, which is the owner of Munis, on a discussion of a quote that was originally gotten by Irene Lynch. We've now expanded that, so we're working through what this would look like for a single instance of the software in the cloud that would be used both by town and Board of Education. Tyler has 37 municipalities in the state of Connecticut that are set up that way. The town is working through their, I don't want to say challenges, their plan, should we proceed to go from an on-premises situation to them in the cloud, and then we would then be part of the transition from eFinance, which is in the cloud, part of our Power School suite, to also join that Munis. Financially, it makes the most sense for us to have a single instance as opposed to multiple ones, but obviously there's details as far as what the transition would look like for the town. They have had a plan on the books. I don't mean to speak for them, but my understanding is the plan on the books to continue to update their on-premises system because of this joint project that we've now started working on to really figure out what the plan can be going forward. They've changed position and are investigating how we can come together as well.
Okay, so as a joint venture, that $330,000 is a curious figure because that's 115,000 times 2. So is this where the $115,000 that we assigned?
I don't believe so.
In the 2025 budget?
No, that is a quote that we got. And it's not, it's 330 is an approximate number. I think it was 328 and change or something like that.
All right.
I'm more than happy to share the quote with the board.
Well, a couple things to build off that. I guess, I again would like the board to officially review the idea and vote on the idea as far as shifting over to Munis. I feel like that's one little bit of business that we should just clear out off the board. If that's our action, our desire, as a board, we should make it official. 2, I'd like to keep track of that $115,000 that we allocated for the 2025 budget that was targeted for this transition, and make sure that it is applied towards the transition, whether it's this year or next.
Okay.
And if we have to bounce it through the non-lapsing fund to get it to the next budget cycle, so be it. But we did allocate that money for transition software. So we should spend it on that.
We felt that it would be not appropriate this year because we really want to move to that next software, and to buy it and then just use it for a year or half a year, we thought what didn't make sense. So we did not spend it on any other software.
Right. So again, I think this would be an opportunity to use a non-lapsing fund as a way to hold money that was targeted and allocated for a certain purpose. For whatever reason, the circumstances did not align for this year to be executed. Over time, it sounds like we have the opportunity to continue on with that. So I just want to make sure that, if that money is allocated for it, that we get it there.
Right. And we will have to look at not only the cost of the project to implement it, to get the software, but also going forward, what is it going to cost the board each year?
Right.
I think Ian wants to see, in the non-lapsing fund account, he wants to see that $150,000.
115, whatever.
115,
yeah.
He wants to see that in the account, so it doesn't get mixed up with the town calls the general fund.
Right. Exactly.
Okay?
Okay.
So,
Mike has his hand up.
yeah.
I'll go with Mike first.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, thank you. I heard Sam talking about the PA system, that $63,000 in terms of the CIPs. Was that a CIP that is going to go forward this year? Because I think it's in our budget as well.
The town manager moved our original CIP request for the PA system. He did not move forward the other technology items that we were proposing, and the Planning and Zoning Committee, again, to Sam's point, didn't take a formal vote, but was in favor of it.
So we have $63,000 in our budget for the PA system. You're talking about some other cost?
I'm talking about CIP dollars.
Okay.
That the town manager moved forward through that.
Go ahead, Mike.
So that means we should be taking it out of our budget because it's going to be in the CIP? Or I'm a little confused now.
There are no guarantees, right? This was just a discussion, so I don't know. There are no guarantees, and there were other items certainly on Clint's list that he postponed. So I would say it'd be a little premature to take it out because it is a priority, and if we don't get it through the CIP, we have to get it, kind of.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Ian?
Yeah, and I guess also to build on that, I mean, as the CIP process takes, we won't know what the final CIP determination is until, I guess, the end of May.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
So we do have to kind of plan, have a fallback position.
Right.
To that end, though, I think as far as like trying to encourage the town and the RTM, town council and the RTM, to support our CIP in particular with the budget software, the financial software, having us review the package that we're trying to support, have us review it and vote, hopefully in support of it if it passes muster, if it passes, of a good vetting. If we're in support of it as a board, I think that could carry a good bit of weight, showing that we're confident and comfortable with this suite, that it would address our needs and that we've considered the ongoing management and upkeep that's required, whether it's licensing fees or upgrade fees that happen year to year. Again, I think if we handle that as a board sometime in March, that could go a long way to helping the town council and the RTM support it on their end as well.
Matthew?
Clarifying question for Clint. I understood you to have said that we're going to, that's my understanding, that we're going to go, you're proposing that we go to the cloud and not keep these things local in-house? Did I hear that correctly?
You were referencing the proposed Munis financial software? Yes.
So
I would not be an advocate of any alternative other than a hosted in the cloud solution, yes.
So let me ask, the question that I'm asking is, I know the cloud is next to heaven, but if it went down, what redundancy do we have?
That's a fair question, and the vast majority of the student information systems, learning management systems, and so forth we have are all cloud-based. So in the event that we see a catastrophic failure of internet access and so forth here, we would have to go to an alternative, cellular and so forth. We do have some backups. It's a very minimal. It's a fair analogy, I think, would be going from Interstate 95 to a gravel road. But we have redundancies built into our networks and our systems, and we've made a decision, much like most corporations and schools and so forth, that from a data security standpoint, a reliability standpoint, and an uptime standpoint, it's a better deal. The IT team is wonderful. That doesn't mean we could somehow guarantee more reliability hosting it locally, because that opens up other potential options, be it HVAC, power, security, other things as well. So nothing is 100%. My professional opinion is it's more reliable and more secure by putting into the cloud.
Well,
it's cheaper also.
But I don't want it cheaper. I want it less expensive. But I don't.
Fair
want
enough.
anything
I stand corrected. Less expensive.
More cost efficient.
More cost efficient. I'll take that one as well. Thank you.
Since you're ever so slightly above my pay grade and knowledge on this stuff, I trust you, but I am concerned about redundancy. So look at it again and be sure you're satisfied.
I worry about that as well. Thank you.
Jen?
So did they not discuss the HVAC system? Or
Yeah,
did they not discuss the HVAC system? Because we need town council support to apply for the grant.
No, those were all zeroed out. However, I believe that the town manager's plan is to put all the HVAC projects together and go out in that way.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that was his
Good.
plan. Okay, that's why he kept asking for all the information.
Okay.
Because he wants to put it all on the plan together.
That's good.
Perfect. Thank you.
Ian?
Yes, so to answer, or I guess like to address like Matt's concerns about the software and the redundancy in the cloud and how much backup there is and security. Again, I think that would be great, all good stuff to have included in a presentation where we look at that and, if you could just do a cursory look at two competitors that provide similar services.
From a financial standpoint or from a feature standpoint,
Do
or
they exist?
all of the above?
Both, yeah, I guess. I mean, all of the
You're
above.
directing me to go out and get quotes for other systems?
I'm just
or-
I'm just asking, like, is there a way to do like a ballpark, like thumbnail sketch of what other things exist?
I'd be certainly happy to look.
I think a lot of people have expressed that Munis has a lot of potential, a lot of and I myself also am 99% convinced Munis is the way to go. But I feel like due diligence wise, we should just take a quick glance. I wouldn't want to like spend a lot of time on it, but just a quick glance at like what other options may exist and what ballpark figures, how would they compare to Munis, and are there any like critical fail points as far as the comparison goes, like to those other systems versus Munis. I know Munis is used by a lot of municipalities and school districts around the country. So I think they got the inside track. I think we're 99% there. I just want to make sure we dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and make sure we can feel very confident in what we say.
Okay, moving right along. Unless there's something else for Clint.
I just have unrelated, so kind of facilities, but the Fitch Auditorium, that I think the last time we talked about that, the sound was going to get updated, and I know that the sound kind of failed in the last concert that I was at, so I'm wondering how that's...
Which one? I'm just curious.
Well, they were using a boom box, I guess, or a portable stereo, because...
Something recently, or?
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. I have not heard of that, but please, by all means.
Yeah, well, they're using stereos because I think the sound... where are we with the sound?
Sound system has been updated recently, and they now have 12 packs of wireless mics and so forth. There's a new soundboard in there, new wiring and so forth. So that is, for the most part, complete. So that's why I'm curious why someone would have a boom.
Oh, they were using portable. Maybe they're not
The Taylor
ready
Swift
for it.
concert, they brought in some of their own equipment, but they also used a lot of our equipment as well for that. What we're working really on now is that RFP process, and we've selected a candidate for the lighting and projection and so forth that we're getting ready to go in there. So I'd love to know what the complications are for sound so that I can run that down and understand better what's going on.
Well, they were using portable stereos, which maybe it's because they're not quite up to it.
I'm sorry, which?
They were using a portable stereo behind people singing. So it was behind the stage.
Again, are we talking about the 2 weeks ago, or are we talking about
2 weeks
Friday?
ago.
Okay, yeah, forgive me, I'm not familiar with, no one brought any issues to my attention.
I did not see Mark, but I'm sure he was.
All right, we'll
get to it later.
Sure, yeah, I'm happy to run it down.
I was just wondering when's the lighting going to happen?
So as the RFP went out, that we would have it complete by May 1. I'm struggling with the final details as far as some of the additional power needs and so forth. Sam's team has been great in trying to identify that. So I'm hoping that we can keep that May 1 date, but as a fallback, it would be over the summer.
Mark's here. Mark, grab a mic.
I'm not familiar with this concert. I don't think I was involved with it.
Oh, no, it was a music concert. I know because my daughter was singing and then the background music went out. but it was... I don't
get in touch with them.
Yeah, we can talk about it later.
Yeah,
All right,
I don't think they asked us to help set up.
All
Send
right.
me an email and we'll investigate.
Well, it doesn't need to be investigated.
Well, we'll find out.
You brought it up, so you brought it up for a reason. So you
Yeah,
must want
to see if it was done. Well, I thought it was all going to be done by now.
Right, why bring it up? All right, committee reports. We don't have to do policy, do we?
No.
Curriculum,
Didn't meet.
good. Finance and facilities,
We met February 10th. We specifically discussed only the facilities portion of it. We were curious about an on-the-ground system for keeping track of complaints, water leaking, light bulbs out, things like that. Where does it go? How does that stuff get processed, addressed, et cetera?
That's it.
You want more?
No.
Okay.
Learn, unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to the last Learn meeting. Athletic fields, Ian?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there was a meeting on the same night as the 20th, and I haven't had a chance to review the recording yet.
Okay.
But we were in budget session at the time. Real quick, though, the date, I was at that concert, too. It was February 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was February 13th, Clint.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Trails, Matthew, are you on Trails?
Trails meets in March, meets quarterly.
Okay. Library?
I chatted with Jen Mealy, the librarian. Nothing to report at this time, but there's an idea of maybe sometime in the future doing some reading with kids in the school to have it somehow recorded, and so we can have something we can put on the town TV station that parents at home who got little kids will have something to listen to. There's a whole bunch of challenges. It's blue sky. All I'm giving you is blue sky right now.
I got one more thing for athletic fields. Just remembered, there was an email that Mark Berry sent to me and the board as far as inquiring after, I guess it was just to me and I related to the board. But they're looking to come before the board and give a presentation on what they have. And I shared that with the chair, and you mentioned possibly sometime in March.
Probably more like in April.
My only concern with that is there is still some hope to try to get that on as a referendum this fall. But in order for that to happen, a number of things have to happen early on in the process. So, I think time is of great concern if there's a shot to get it on the ballot for this fall's election. So I would just encourage maybe looking at try to squeeze a way to get it in for March, so that, again, the board, if we are so inclined to, put our support behind it as a board, we could do that with some time that would maybe help get the process done. Because I know, based on the town council and the town manager presentation that I saw, there is some concern about whether or not there is enough momentum to really get it on for a referendum. And there's a lot of I's to dot, T's to cross to do so. So we have to get started ASAP.
Okay. Anything else? All right. I did talk to Ian about reinstating the ad hoc budget committee. Well, your charge will be, listen clearly, just to look at the budget book and how we can make the budget book better.
How to make the budget book better.
Okay?
Okay.
All right? So you can ask Jan, whoever you want on your committee. I'll leave that up to you. Okay?
Okay. So I guess that would not include the how to manage numbers throughout the meetings, I guess. I mean, how do we deliberate? How do we go through the budget book? At what time does the budget book show up on our desks?
I thought we had that. I thought we had that little calendar of, yeah, I have it right here. Tuesday, October 15, administrators meeting, and the budget book is supposed to come to the board. I thought it was December 16th or somewhere.
Yeah, okay. So, if that calendar is still, okay. Then I'm fine with it. If that's the calendar that we have on record as the list of expectations, that'd be great. Then I'm fine with just focusing on the book construction.
Yeah. The only thing that I'm concerned about is I don't know if we should wait for, how are we doing with the business manager?
So the posting closed, and we will be starting an interview process.
Well, you could start Ian without, and when we get a new business manager, you can, review it, and they can tweak it if they need to.
Sure. And so as chair, the membership is up to me to invite, or are you inviting? Are you assigning?
I could assign, but I probably would sign Jen and Mike, give them first choice again.
Yeah, that would be my inclination as well, is to give them the right of first refusal.
Right.
So, But I can follow up with them offline about that, and
Okay.
I'll share that
Let me know
information.
when your meeting is.
Sure.
Jen, do you want to be on that committee again, Jen?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and I guess I should ask, is there any, I don't know, I would be, if I was to adjust the committee in any way, I would want to only just expand it to maybe 4 and invite Dean in, if that was possible. Since he's been on, chair of finance, he might have some perspective. And he offered
Well, I
some-
was actually going to suggest Dean and eliminate one of the other 2, but I'm leaving that to you.
I don't think I have any better perspective than I do as a regular board member, but I'm flattered that you're thinking of me.
I also thought it'd be great to have
Dean's
like.
going to be on negotiations, too.
Okay.
So he'll have his hands full.
If you need me, you have me.
Well, we could probably just call you in as needed.
Sure.
So.
Dean, I thought about Dean because he has the history about the budget.
Right, exactly,
So,
yeah.
And that's why I thought about Dean. But then I didn't want to eliminate Jen or Mike if they really wanted to still be on the committee.
Right.
But you can always
You can have my
get
spot if you
Dean.
want.
Yeah.
I'm really busy trying to forget a lot of things about budgets, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Well, and as with other committees, I mean, we have pulled people in for, guest appearances. So we could just do that, too.
Could be your guest of honor.
Like SNL.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah. All right, moving right along. Information, proposals, letters, communication, comments by board members or meeting items or anything, any other items in their jurisdiction. Dr. A?
I have something,
Go ahead.
because it's in my jurisdiction. I just wanted to follow up on Ian's comment about adjectives and adverbs, and I'm going to give you some advice to everybody and to everyone who's listening. Unless you're talking about Tom Sawyer's Aunt Polly, never use a word that ends in ly. That's it. Okay. Adjectives and adverbs suck the power out of your writing. Put it in a verb.
All right.
That's it. I'm done.
Matthew?
I'm good.
Jen?
All set.
Ian?
I'll take a pass this time.
Okay. Dean?
Now I'm passing so we can get to the budget.
Anne Marie? Adrian? Okay, I'll pass too on that. Advanced planning, you have your future meeting dates and everything. And suggested agenda items, I have AI, and Dr. Kennedy will give us a report on AI in March. Okay. Special education, Denise isn't here, but we're going to have a talk on special education. This is going to be at Cal. Elementary education, we still need to talk about health insurance. We need to talk about the software. And somewhere I saw something about technology education, 6 to 12. And of course, the town, and we should want to do it too, talk about federal funding. And the athletic fields, I have that for future agenda items.
The fields.
Mm-hmm. So that's going to bring us, and I think Adrian's working on something also. Agenda item.
Yeah, are we going to, on the referral tracking sheet, are we going to work off that as well?
Yeah, I don't have one there.
Yeah, it's not here.
Yeah, we could do that in the Cal, but that's
Yeah.
tracking sheet. Okay?
Yep.
All right.
Bev, can I add one, or maybe like an update on wit and wisdom and how that's playing out at the elementary schools now that it's been since September?
Wit and wisdom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Motion to adjourn, Dr. A.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, Matthew. Dr. A made the motion to adjourn. Matthew made it second. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Bye.
Can we take 4 or 5 minutes?
Yep, take a 5-minute break and we'll come back.